Support Rainbow Soul. Check out the Rainbow Soul merchandise for your favorite new shirt. A variety of colors and styles to suit your taste. Show off your love for Rainbow Soul. Get cool designs with your favorite quotes. Designs come in a variety of colors so that you can express your most authentic self. Support Rainbow Soul in spreading the word that queer, gender variant, intersex, transgender is sacred. Rainbow Soul, putting the soul back into queer. Order your unique Rainbow Soul merchandise at RainbowSoul.show.
Welcome to Rainbow Soul, a live show and podcast in search of deep answers and medicine about consciousness, spirituality, witchcraft, natural magic, and queer, inclusive spiritual paths of many varieties. We will explore the use of herbs, candles, colors, and nature in our personal lives, as well as queer-inspired rituals designed with transgender and non-binary people in mind. We are welcoming all pagans, indigenous two-spirits, witchy folks, conscious seekers, and people off the beaten path who want to explore the human spiritual experience that we are all capable of having. With a deep reverence in anti-racist values, inclusivity, and a healthy and honest respect for our ancestors, Rainbow Soul brings diverse guests and topics all related to queer spiritual experience. Tap into this amazing resource live and find a supportive, safe environment while exploring interesting topics and diverse guests. Listen on your favorite podcast platform and catch the show at your convenience and still participate in the contest and games. Get more information about games and contests at our website, RainbowSoul.show. RainbowSoul.show. Thank you for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad to be doing this show today. I am Hollis Taylor, and I'm one of the hosts today. And I am an author, an astrologer, a psychic, and I offer all kinds of great spiritual coaching at my website, divineanderton.com. And these are my co-hosts.
Hey! Good to have you back.
Yeah, I'm back. I made it.
Welcome back, LeKross. I'm so glad you're back.
The original co-host, LeKross. You can introduce yourself first.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm LeKross Ortiz. I am a jack of all trades, master of none. Jewish, Taino, atheist. Don't necessarily believe in a supreme being to be spiritual. And yep, that's me.
And I'll introduce myself. I'm Bright Hawk, the backup co-host, but it's really fun to have a show where we're all three here today because we always have great conversations. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm a storyteller. I'm a musician. I'm the author of a beautiful book called The Dancing Hippo, a gender-neutral book that has a really inspiring message. It's beautifully illustrated by Amanda Moore. I'm a sound healer and co-creator of a nonprofit called Let's Dance Activities, and with Hollis, and delighted to be back on Rainbow Soul.
Fabulous. I am so glad we decided to do this. This should be a fun show. I do want to take a minute. We do a little meditation, a little breathing. So let's just take a moment. Close your eyes for a minute. And I want you to imagine the night sky. Imagine the night sky with the moon shining brightly, and the stars. Take a deep breath and just take in the hugeness of the universe. We've all been in that moment where we suddenly feel very small when we look at the stars. And take this moment to reflect that the map to your life is up in those stars. And feel the moon's love glowing down on you. And take that in your heart. Take another deep breath and blow out anything that no longer serves you. And when you take a deep breath in, take in all the love and intuition of the moon and blow out what no longer serves you. And every time I'm humbled by the stars, I say thank you. So thank you and namaste.
And as we say, Han Hankatu.
What does that what does that word mean?
Han Hankatu means so it is. It's like an affirmation of
Like okay, like so
it's like a
motivate.
confirmation. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, namaste is I love and I respect everything within you just as it is within me type of thing. So I feel like astrology is very much as above, so below.
For sure. It's happening to all of us. And each person, just like everyone has a unique fingerprint, everybody has a unique star map.
Yeah.
And the more I've learned about my star map, I think astrology has to begin with yourself. It is definitely a key that helps unlock an exploration into how you do you. And then the more you learn about yourself, the more you start to realize, whoa, this is happening for everybody else too. Oh, wow. So I love it. I love talking about it. I love how much I've learned with you, from you, right alongside with you. And
it's cool because I remember I was listening to this astrologer and he had made an interesting point and said that the last time your star map was made was 25,000 years ago. That's how individual each moment is. Like even from down to the second, it can shift. And he was saying you were literally the last time the stars were there was 25,000 years ago. In that exact moment, like exactly the whole thing. So
gosh, stars always the universe like that always blows my mind. It's always like, wow. And it just makes you feel sort of small but large, and I often feel validated by astrology.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Now here's an interesting thing on that topic that I wanted to make sure we talked about today, because I want to ask the community, people out there listening, please email me your very queer astrology chart. If you are queer, send it to me. And this is why. Because I've been trying to identify all the different ways that queerness shows up in the chart. Okay. So like I've been looking at birth charts, and any person that I know that's queer that's willing to give me their chart, I look at it. Okay. So for instance, I'm going to say like I have Uranus on my ascendant, and Uranus is a revolutionary planet. It brings revolution, and it's on my ascendant. My ascendant means it's how I do things, and so
it's what was rising in the sky when you were born.
Okay,
it's that line between the 12th and the first house. It's very, very important.
It's called your AC on the sign.
Yeah, your rising sign, your ascendant, all the same thing.
So my Uranus sits on top of it. Okay.
Hollis likes to call it they're weird.
Uranus is your weird spot. I always feel like it's your weird spot. And anyway, so I tend to lead with my weirdness. Notice I have a podcast about spirituality, and I'm not a typical spiritualist. So, but also that is also a very common thing amongst non-binary people. Okay. And I was told this by Nadia Shah. And I have found other non-binary people with Uranus on their ascendant.
In the 12th. And what do you think about Pluto?
Yeah. And I was like, well, the fact that Pluto is there, that's about death and rebirth and stuff. And Brighthawks is in Virgo, which is a sort of feminine sign. And I'm pretty sure your Mars is there too. And Mars is the god of war, and it's the representation of masculinity in astrology. Okay. And I've noticed when Mars is in a feminine sign, or vice versa, when Venus is in a more masculine zodiac sign, that the person may at least push gender boundaries. But there seems to be some, when there's multiple placements, then the person is more likely to be trans or non-binary or cross-dresser. And all of those things seem to show up in the chart, okay, in weird ways. So like for Brighthawk, although she never really struggled with being trans, maybe a little bit, like she just didn't have a word for it, I would say. You know?
I was definitely in the tomboy category growing up, for sure.
Right. But you had the experience of like African drumming, which is usually done by men, which is a masculine role.
Being a gender
which is represented
buster.
by Mars.
Yeah. In
Right.
high school, I was the one who went out for drum major, and all the drum majors were guys, and there were very few.
Right.
Like to even have a woman try out was like, what are you doing? Well,
So
I
her-
want to lead the band.
So her Pluto is there. So that, boom, every time she does it, she has a rebirth. Okay? So when she did African drumming, she had a rebirth.
For sure.
When she was an engineer, that's a male's world. She
For sure.
once again had a rebirth. You see? She's a woman in a man's world in a way. But then she also starts to realize, as people start to talk about being non-binary, oh, maybe I'm that. Like, we gave her a word, if you will. Now, LeKross, if you don't mind me revealing a little bit about your chart.
Sure.
Okay. Now, you also have Mars in Virgo, which is
Very interesting.
Is very interesting, right? Here we go again. And you have Pluto nearby your ascendant. Okay. It's in the first house, but it's nearby.
Within 10 degrees. Yeah, it's conjunction.
And interestingly, you also have Venus in Libra, which is all about both and balancing. And you are the type of trans man that's like, no, you need to know I'm trans. I want you to know that I've come through this.
Right.
That I'm trans.
Right.
Right. And that sort of the way you present yourself, think about that. That's very, that could easily be seen with Venus and Libra, because Libra is about balance. And you're saying, I am a man and I'm trans.
Yes.
Okay. And so because and I know that you express that way. And the other thing I noticed is, you have that yod that points from motherhood and Pluto into Saturn, which so far I have noticed to be the sacred masculine. And that's exactly how you present.
I try.
Interesting.
And that's your destiny, to show the sacredness of masculinity rather than presenting as a toxic man.
Yes.
Which some trans people definitely do. You know?
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. And so, but I'm seeing this in so many different ways. The other thing I'm seeing is some people that were marked as male, for instance, when they were born, people with penises, okay? They oftentimes, when I find out that they're cross-dresser or they're questioning their queerness or they might be trans or something like that, they have Mars and Venus conjunct. which means they're on top of each other.
Okay.
And the two of them are often, sometimes for cross-dressers, they're in a house of Scorpio, which is secrets.
Right. Right.
So that's when you look at the house and you look at the sign and this tells you the flavors and the expression, right? So the sign that the planet is in is going to tell you how strong its relationship is. And the house is going to tell you what it means. So, for example, obviously your first house is what? About you. It's about yourself, right? How you express your identity. What we talk about through the first through the sixth house is the night side of the chart, the dark side of the chart, the hidden, and the 7 through 12. Actually, did I say that right?
Yeah,
is the daytime part of the chart, right? That your expression outwardly. And so, with the exception of the 12th house, which is sort of the house of the occult and spirituality and things that call you, but you don't necessarily know why. We talk about the 8th house as the house of shadow, the house of taxes, other people's money. If you want to understand how someone is going to be in relationship and when and what their dynamics are in relationship, we look at the 7th house. If you want to understand your siblings, your relationship with your siblings, the 3rd house. I left out the 2nd house. The 2nd house is other people's money, your values, right? Talked about the 3rd house is siblings, 4th house is parents, your roots. 5th house is fun. How do you do fun?
Creativity.
6th house is relationships.
And romance. Yep.
And 7th house is
6th house is daily living. 7th house is relationships.
sorry.
So it kind of goes around like a big pie chart, and it's, what house it's in is just the area it's going to affect in your life. So what I want to say about queer charts is that I would love to look at more queer charts. So if you're queer and you're willing to email me, just email RainbowSoul or Divine Androgen Coach. You can get it at our website, rainbowsoul.show, or you can comment and I'll probably pick it up. And I can look at your birthday and I just want to see, and I want to know what your identity is. In other words, are you a trans man? Are you gender, are you just gender non-conforming? Are you a trans woman? I'd like to know which way. Because it does seem to show, I see the different identities. And then also Aquarian placements also seems to be a pretty strong sign. Especially if they have like Mars and Venus in Aquarius. Okay. Or, and so you want to watch for the sacred masculine, which is also watch the sacred masculine in your instance, LeKross. If they have more of a spiritual call to things, if you will. So I think it always makes sense. Dana here, Dana said, I feel like I'm neutral in orientation, even though I have 2 marriages and a kid. Hey, me and LeKross have been married to men. And we have
20 years.
And we have
4 kids.
However many kids you have 4 kids, I have 1. And and it's we understand you're not meant for marriage, Dana. But what would be interesting, Dana, is I'll have to look at your chart when I get a little time here, and see where things are. And Dana, you can share your chart if you happen to know if Venus and Mars are either on top of each other. The other thing is if they're across the chart, I feel like then Venus and Mars are in opposition, and it pulls the person back and forth somehow. And I'm wondering if that's like gender fluid people.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
to see more charts.
Yeah,
Send them in.
Yes. So send me
If
your
you're
chart.
willing.
Send me your chart. If you don't know how to get your chart,
Right. I was just gonna say.
you can go to astro.com and just put in your birthday information. You can hide that from me if you want, or you can just send me your birthday information and I'll pull the chart and send it back to you. And I'll tell you what placements show me your identity. And the other thing that I'm looking at also is Jupiter on the ascendant. I'm noticing that you have it, LeKross.
Jupiter on the ascendant.
And I'm wondering what that does, because that's going to be big and expansive.
Yep.
But it's also going to be a little philosophical and spiritual.
Right. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my chart. I'm like, it's just so much work. I'm like, it takes a lot of time and investment. But what better way to invest your time than to know yourself?
Right on.
You know, that's, to me, that's the whole point. Because I would sit there and I remember I always used to brag, oh, I'm a quintuple Libra. I'm as Libra as it gets. And then here comes this Virgo that just like smacked me. And I genuinely, like, growing up, I didn't get along with Virgos well because I didn't like that whole overbearing maternal thing, which I ended up being. So
maybe that's why you resisted it.
Yeah, like I was just like, come on, just let me breathe. I'll get this figured out. But I sadly am that overbearing parent that's like, no, don't do this. It's gonna blow up in your face, you know. But I'll be the first one, and I'd be like, but I didn't have like the whole emotional thing that Virgos carry. They're very emotional, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, you're gonna, you know, the kid falls. No, I'm like, all right, suck it up. You'll be all right. Let's go. You know, I was that, you know, it's just weird, but trying to figure out and realize that some of these qualities that I have were not Libra at all. And I was just like, huh, okay, I guess I am this and that and here and there. It's pretty enlightening.
I think we have to be careful about not, like what you were saying, like typically your experience with Virgos wasn't great, but you can't assume all Virgos are going to be that way.
Right.
Because what you just characterized, none of the Virgos I know are like that.
Right. And it's weird because and that's another thing. I think the whole point is like, you know how you see like people are like, all Tauruses are like this. Like I just saw Taurus, sorry.
Eva's,
you know,
ascendant.
Or all you know, Geminis are two-faced, and I would get frustrated because you would even see in the groups, I jump in and I'm like, do not base a person just on their sun sign.
Right.
Really
That is such it's such an insult. It's like you're really minimizing them as a person.
Complex.
Yeah, to sit there and just say, oh, I'm a Libra, I can't make up my mind, but I can dress well. Like that's just so thank you. That's my whole life right there. I can't make up my mind and I can dress well. Now I have it figured out. No, it's so complex, you know.
But there are some truths that we've been learning that I love what you just said about Libra. I learned one today about Tauruses, earth signs, because there's a lot going on in Taurus that we'll get to. We'll talk about. And the message was never borrow something from somebody who is an earth sign, especially Taurus, fixed earth, right? They would rather buy you the thing than lend you their thing. And
is that true, Eve?
And then the problem is that you've got Venus going, be nice, be generous, be kind. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess you could borrow it. Okay, God, I hope they give it back. They're gonna break it, you know. And I was like, damn, this is one of those truths that everybody should just know.
you don't do this because
And
it's not going to work. That's not going to make them feel good.
What is that? I don't know if that's true about all of them.
right, but no, but I find that funny because being a Libra and I'm an air sign, I don't like borrowing. I'd rather go buy it myself so I can have one. So see, it's funny because there
I
are
love
traits.
it. See?
There are traits that you do see, and like it's like I see another Libra, I see another air sign. Okay, yeah, I see you. And there is some kind of like baseline connection that you get, but I think that'd be a good show, like just talking about stereotypes of the signs,
Oh my gosh.
That would be such a hilarious show because
oh my God. Always tell a Leo how great their hair is.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
And that's so funny. My brother's a Leo and he's always like, but that's great. That's great.
It's good stuff.
Mhm.
There is a lot going on, you guys, astrologically, that is impacting everyone. So they always remind myself, and this is why everyone's feeling it. The other metaphor I'm going to use, because we're going to talk about transits, it's like we're all riding along in a car, and the car has multiple axles, right? At least two. And some people are in the front and some people are in the back. So some people feel the bump first, and then a little bit goes by, and then the people in the back feel the bump.
Right.
So timing in astrology is often that way. Hollis tends to be in the front of the car and always feels the front axle first. And depending on what it is, sometimes I'm right next to him, sometimes I'm right behind him. So that's one of the things, a metaphor that I always found to be so apropos.
Mm-hmm. We're all going to go over the bump. So
boom, there you go.
The timing of it is
maybe some of us don't have shocks when we go over it.
Well, that's probably very true. Sometimes I don't have shocks.
It's like, whoa, that was a big one.
Sometimes it hits the head, sometimes it's the oof.
Oh yeah.
My tuchus is hurting.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
I'm likely to hit my head on the roof. Again.
So one of the big energies, big things moving right now that we can talk about is as we're finishing July and we're launching into August, the big planets are retrograde, but all the personal planets are direct. So what does that mean? The personal planets are the ones that move really quickly. Mars, Venus, Mercury. And the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, move much slower. So some of them are generational. We talk about the Saturn generation in Aquarius right now, and how long it takes some of these things to happen, which your uniqueness. I love that what you said. Your uniqueness has not happened for 25,000 years. That's right. So Jupiter is retrograde now and will be retrograde until November. We are in a time right now. We want to tell you what's good about now is that it's a great time to be launching things. It's a great time for forward momentum. If there's something that you have that you were thinking about launching in October, get it done now. Now is where the energy is for this. And
especially if you have Jupiter in retrograde in your chart.
Yes, we both do. So Jupiter for most people is really, really expansive energy. If you have it in retro, and when it goes retrograde, you're going to start to feel slow, like you're slowing down. Like you might not have energy. You might be, I feel lazy. I'm going to take a, whatever, right? Saturn is already retrograde in Aquarius. And so the energy of things that you have been working on, if you're Jupiter retrograde, you're being called out because this is what we were born under. It's like, now's your time to shine. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of energy for us in the next several months.
So,
And then I would just say the last thing is that we are in really like massively cosmic karmic times. The new moon that we just had, it was super potent. And the energy that we're entering into, there is what is called a triple conjunction. Triple, obviously, three things: the North Node, Uranus, and our good buddy Mars, action in Taurus, all coming together. So it's a big energy. And one of the things that's happening is people are starting to really differentiate. Do I want this? Do I want that? And if you feel like somebody's really pissed you off, really triggered you, you might want to be careful about what you say, because it could be the last thing you ever say to that person. It's those kind of ramifications, high stakes, being mindful with your words is a really good idea. And so, we have some really big stuff to talk about.
yeah, maybe. So the first thing I want to mention, so I don't know, LeKross, do you have any questions before we go on?
Yeah, I just if we're saying conjunct, I'm not quite understanding what conjunct means.
Okay, great question. Yeah.
So, because when you say that three things are conjunct, how does that affect you, and what does that mean?
Okay. So the fun thing about conjuncts is it's a little bit of a mixing pot. So whether you have 2 planets or 5 planets, if they're conjunct, that means they're all on top of each other. You're in the same, within a certain amount of orbs is what we call it. So within about 8 to 10 degrees of each other, depending on the planet. Okay, bigger planets get a bigger orb. Faster moving planets get a smaller orb. Makes sense, right? Because Pluto is huge, moves slow. Mars is a little bit faster, right? And so it doesn't have as big of an orb. Okay, so once they're within a few degrees of each other, we call that conjunct. And what that means is that it's like a mixing pot. So if you add Mars, I think you said Mars, Uranus, and the North Node is conjunct. So when they're conjunct like that, Mars is about action. It's also about war and arguments. Okay. That's just the nature of Mars. It's the god of war. Think about the mythology. Okay. So that's Mars. And then Uranus is revolutionary. This is new way of doing things. Let me present. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it's nuclear, like explosive, like boom. And so you're putting the god of war together with Uranus, with the North Node, which is your destiny and karma. Okay, so when you look, all three of them are kind of traveling together for a little while because the planets move at different speeds. So right now, during this time, the three of them are on top of each other. So we're kind of seeing it in the trials about Trump. And the January 6th thing, that whole thing is not only part of Pluto returns, but that is bringing that energy in. You know how it feels like we're separated? Uranus can sometimes make things separated, okay? Because it's revolutionary, explosion. And so that's kind of what's happening right now. That we're witnessing. And the North Node is about destiny. So that tells us this is supposed to be happening. And to be honest, although I'm going to be very clear and political here, and I think that's okay for us queers, we can handle it. Okay. I don't like Trump. Okay. I don't. Okay. And when he first came in, I said, he's president for a reason. He's going to teach this country where we're fucked up. And guess what he's doing? Because you can look at his chart and that's what he does. He destroys everything he touches and he points out the bad parts.
And he lives in the land of illusion.
Right.
He believes his own lies.
Right.
He literally cannot recognize the truth if you look at his chart.
So
It's amazing.
So without getting too political, we understand that he was meant. So in some
doing
ways,
his
the
destiny.
Trumpers are right. He is addressing things that other presidents have not. And they're right in some way that just by being him, he's going to sort of go poop every time in certain areas because of who he is. And that's going to change the country. And Pluto returns, which is what we're in and will be in for a while now, probably, I think, till like 2025. The United States is being reborn right now. You can see the United States right now as going through a transition. So if you're trans and you've been through a transition, remember how explosive it was? Remember how not easy it was? Guess what?
Yeah.
The United States is going through that right now.
Exactly. The next 2 years, who knows what the world and the country will look like in 2025. Because 2023 is rocking as well.
So here's a couple other. I just want to point out what Eve's saying here.
Okay.
Eve totally validated you with the Remember, Eve's a Taurus ascendant, and Eve said, "I have gotten screwed over on the lending front multiple times, so it can be a struggle." Hey, Eve, I'm with you. I'm an Earth sign, but I don't like my stuff getting messed up. So when I lend it out, I just see it as giving it to you. Okay. And Eve said, "I'm a Leo moon, so love what LeKross said about him." Eve,
I'm a Leo moon too.
I think I remember your drag king having some pretty big hair. Yeah, okay. And just saying that, Eve, do you see where your Venus and Mars is? Tell us where your Venus and Mars. I see that your Saturn's in Gemini, which I have also been watching. So I think that's interesting. Eve, when did you become aware that you were non-binary? Because when things are in retrograde, we become more aware of them and master the challenge of them as we get older. So Eve, your Saturn's in retrograde in Gemini, and Gemini is the twin. So this is what makes me think that this is why you're non-binary. You're sacred masculine is both, which is probably why you're non-binary. That's at least one sign.
That's
so
really interesting.
Yeah. And your North Node, the node is usually retrograde. It's in Aquarius. So the fact that it's in Aquarius tells us that you've got to be part of the movement for revolution, which is Aquarius.
You're meant to be an activist. It's like written in your chart. When you see North Node in Aquarius, this is true across the board, as far as I can tell. Activism is your destiny.
So
and you're in law school. I mean, it's
and Eve definitely does. I'm pretty sure Eve does disability rights and queer rights, LGBTQ. So between those two things, they pretty much are filling their destiny of North Node in Aquarius. So those are just some examples of some things there. And I see that we're about time. So LeKross, why don't we do your little nugget? And when we come back, I will review a few things that are about to happen this month.
Okay. All right. Let me take us out and I'll get the video on. Hello, I'm LeKross Ortiz, and this is Little Nuggets. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about chaos and the overwhelming feeling of chaos. The other day there was a storm, okay, and I got up to let my dog out and went to my backyard, and this is what I saw. Now, anybody who knows me knows that my backyard is like my little safe haven. I have my fire pits. I entertain family, friends. I sometimes like to just sit back there and just be. It's my way or my space away from the city, even though I'm in the city. And coming out there to that was quite overwhelming. And I started to cut the wood little pieces at a time. I went and bought an axe. Didn't work. It's just so much wood. And I got overwhelmed, and I went and took a nap because I was just not feeling it. So I woke up from the nap and went back outside and realized the chaos didn't go anywhere. It was still there waiting for me. It's still there waiting for me. And so what is the little nugget? Okay, the storm's going to come, the chaos is going to come, destruction, things, unexpected, just things happen. And you don't have to figure it all out right away as soon as it happens. Sometimes it's better to step back so that way you can reflect and figure different ways to troubleshoot the situation. But don't feel like you have to attack it and do it right then and there. Because sometimes it'll end up overwhelming and then you don't get anything done. So instead I decided to fold laundry and clean my bedroom. Because at the end of the day, whatever chaos, whatever things are happening in my life, it's out of my control. I can't control it. And the best thing that I could possibly do is to look at what I can control and what I can do and what I can troubleshoot. I can only control what's here. All right, so that's today's little nugget. And you have an amazing day, and I'll see you around. Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So what exactly does that mean? It is a figure of speech in reference to a person who has dabbled in many things rather than gaining expertise by only focusing on one. So much knowledge and wisdom out there at our fingertips, yet so difficult to grasp. Everything and everyone has a little piece of the truth, and it is up to us to determine what our truth is. In this busy world, creating the time, the space to nourish our bodies, mind, and soul has become a difficult task. So let's take a moment to learn something small, in whatever way the universe decides to reveal it. It could be someone's story, a quote, a spiritual practice, maybe a song or a movie. The opportunities are limitless and all around us if we just take a moment to see. We are all students of life experiences, so let us learn from one another. There is no right or wrong path. There is only your path and your journey. So let's begin our adventure and explore all the world has to offer, and let us become a master of none. Okay, we're back. I did want to mention, I realized out of the whole situation, I don't have to buy any firewood now for a while.
Congratulations. Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I said, when I was cutting the little pieces, and I'm like, because I go and I'll buy firewood, sadly, because I don't have trees that I can, leftover trees to do it with. So I was just like, oh, well, there's enough here to last at least the rest of the year. So I'm good.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, beautiful. And Bobby said that's a good nugget. I agree with
Thank
Bobby. Robert Vandove in our chat said that's a good nugget, and I agree with him.
Thank you.
I think it's excellent to just try to embrace the moment when it sucks.
Yeah.
I think that's all you can really do. I mean, you could freak out, I guess, but
Yeah,
lot of
I'd rather
energy.
not. I'm
A
just
lot of
like,
energy.
it's like I went out there and it was just like I literally felt, I'm like, huh. Like I was like, I'm too tired to freak out. It's too early. The dog won't stop licking me. I'm tired.
Yeah, yeah. So I think and it's interesting that that happened. And so I want to go back to the day and look and see if there's something in astrology.
What? Yeah. And before you do that, I did want to mention there was a storm, but it wasn't that bad of a storm.
What day was it?
This was, oh, jeez, when was it? When I posted it, I don't remember. And one of the things that made me think, because we're talking about the repercussions, and that it could be the smallest little thing, like what you were saying, Bright Hawk. It could be the smallest little thing, and right now, if you're not careful, a lot of damage can come from that. And that's why I was looking at the storm and I'm like, but it wasn't that bad last night. And that tree's been there for I've been here 15 years. Never. And it's just boom, so sudden, and all this damage from a small storm. I would expect that if it was like the winds are gusting and nah, it was just raining and little lightning, and that was it.
Huh. Yeah, I'd be happy to look and see what the transits were that day, but I just need to know what day.
And there is a satellite, an asteroid, called Eros, E-R-E-S, that is known as the asteroid of chaos. Eros rules chaos.
Wow.
So sometimes when something really chaotic and weird happens, you can look at things like that.
You can see if maybe something's moving over. Maybe the moon moved over your Eris or something like that. Moon moves pretty fast. So it could be something like that, especially since it wasn't really terrible, because it could have been much worse, of course. But just the fact that happened, and looking at it, it could also tell us if it's a warning or if it's just a random act of chaos.
Right.
So when something does happen like that in your life, if you look at your astrology chart and you learn it, or you get an astrologer too, and you look at the transits, then you could be like, okay, so it's trying to teach me a bigger lesson, or I think this was just random. And it could be like that.
Yeah, it was. I just looked. It was 3 days ago.
It was 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Today's the 31st.
28.
So, and it
happened during the night. So I woke up to it. So it could have happened. It happened during the night.
Right. So I'm going to put the 29th right now. And so I want to look for Jupiter. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you, LeKross, is that Eris is in your 7th house, okay, in Aries. And Jupiter just went retrograde over it.
Oh.
Over top of Aries. Therefore, Jupiter makes everything bigger, okay? And so a little bit of chaos was suddenly made bigger.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
And there it is right there. Now, I will tell you, Jupiter's going to do that, be retrograde for a while, but when it goes forward, it's probably going to move over that Eris again. And
the other axle.
And when it does, I'm betting that you'll have good chaos.
Good, because
you'll have chaos that brings something good into your life.
Oh, that's good. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I got shocks for that. I'm ready.
So I think Jupiter goes retrograde in November. I think it is.
Okay.
So until November.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And then November it's going to go forward. That's when it goes forward. Yeah. So
and when planets go retrograde, it appears to us that they go backwards, but of course that's an illusion. And
Right.
of course, it's there's what we've been really learning as we delve into it is that there is a shadow period. There's a period, usually at least 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks, on either side of these entry points. And the shadow periods can sometimes be where the turbulence is,
Mhm.
where you really feel the oog. That's usually when I feel the Mercury retrograde is in the shadow period, not when it actually is retrograde.
Yeah.
But Hollis tends to do the opposite. And now we're kind of like recognizing certain things.
Right. Right.
So that's the fun about astrology. That's definitely why learn it, because just like the weather, is it going to be a great day, sunshine, time to bring out a picnic, or is it pack your umbrella and your galoshes and
And wait for the shitstorm. It's like,
you know you want to know which way it's going to go, right?
Right,
So
right.
having a little bit of a clue, and I don't know, for me it's really helped me have a lot more compassion for
Yeah.
my fellow humans who are feeling the same things. Oh, I'm not the only one feeling the pressure of fill in the blank.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to
So-
us about some of the big stuff for August.
So the big one that's happening pretty much right now, okay, is Mercury it's a T square. And a T square is usually pushing and pulling,
Pressure.
and it's pressure, and it can kind of, but it's usually pressure in 3 different directions rather than 2.
But squares, we have learned, are action. Squares are, you got to make a decision and you got to do something. It's not comfortable, but it makes you do it. And a lot of times we look at those things in our rearview mirror and go, God, I wouldn't have asked for that, but since it happened, I'm glad I did it.
Okay.
That's
So-
the energy.
So Mercury, so the 3 areas it's going to sort of pull and push on is going to be Mercury in Leo. Now it depends on where Mercury and Leo are in your chart, exactly what. So it depends on what house. Remember we talked about houses. So you could look and see where's Mercury in my chart. Okay? And then Mars in Taurus. So anyone that's a Taurus ascendant, Taurus sun, Taurus rising is ascendant, or you have strong placements in Taurus, you may notice when Mars is there, but it won't last long, okay? Because Mars moves fast. But Mars can make it explosive. I mean, you might lose your temper, okay?
This is when the bull, what's the name of the bull that used to love to sit and Ferdinand the bull? Remember Ferdinand the bull?
Okay.
Love the flowers, love the flowers, love the flowers. Then one day a bee flew up Ferdinand's nose and Ferdinand freaked out.
Mhm.
That's Mars in air, in
Taurus.
Taurus a little bit.
So-
It
and
has
then-
that possibility.
And
It
then
has
the
that
third,
possibility.
the third place is Saturn in Aquarius, which, like I said, is a sacred masculine, but it's also the foundation and the system of things, which is in Aquarius, which is a revolutionary zodiac sign, which likes everyone to be included, includes everyone, but is also very rebellious. Okay. Now, the thing about this T square is I'm going to say that it's going to be about something we have to let go of. And I wouldn't, in the politics of the world, in the bigger picture of our world, it's probably going to be about some people may have to let go that they really thought Trump was okay. Some people may need to let go of something small, something else. But that Mars and Taurus, because of the pressure of Mercury and Leo, which is popular talk that's in the spotlight, and then Saturn in Aquarius, which is about the revolution, which is what we've been experiencing since 2020. And then Mars and Taurus is going to make you suddenly have to go, God damn it, all right. It's not going to be easy. it's going to be frustrating because Taurus doesn't like to move fast, and Mars is fast, and Mars is like, just get it done. And so I feel like this could be a moment of a time of tension where you feel like you have to let something go, or you have to move past something, or whatever, and other things are going to be pulling on it.
Wow, you just helped me see the politics of what just happened this week, where the Democrats kind of outmaneuvered the Republicans and finally passed that bill. Think about Aquarius. Aquarius and Aquarians are often environmentalists, right? So then you put Saturn in Aquarius. The entire time Saturn in Aquarius, the conversation about climate change has done nothing but go like this, right? Escalate, 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 escalate. Now we're going to like add all of that intense energy. This is like Make History Week, okay? This is whoosh. Choices have to be made, and a realization of we are running out of time, people. We are running out of time. If you live on the planet, and last time I checked, we all live on the planet, you know, if you're not thinking about this isn't, you know, that's the kind of stuff that's happening for everybody.
Hello?
Yeah, LeKross is already calling from the residence. We have another thermostat.
Okay. I'm just going to let LeKross take that
Yeah,
call.
for sure. Thanks for putting yourself on mute. That's all good. Sorry. So, you know, it's big energy. It's really big things can happen. And depending on what side of the equation you're on, has a lot to do with it.
Sorry about that. It was my
No
job.
worries.
Do you need to go? Is everything okay?
We can finish the show.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I want to get us wrapped up in a few minutes. And so let me just say that there's another T-square, which I just explained what a T-square is. We're about to have another one on August 7th, okay? And that's going to be between the sun, which is very much the direction we're headed, but also can be hot and also can expand on anything it is involved with. It just makes it bigger, kind of like Jupiter. And Mars, again, still in Taurus, and Saturn in Aquarius, and that T-square happens from August 7th to the 18th. And that could be challenging, you guys. It could be because Sun is in Leo, that's kind of big, and Leo is a fire sign. It's explosive. It's also in the spotlight. So we want to be aware of that. And so, you know, what I'm going to say is that you want to ride the kite, which is from August 18th to August 22nd. Know that there is going to be relief on the 18th. Okay, so if you start feeling this tension building up, it will pass. And it's probably going to, around the 18th through the 22nd, you're going to start to feel like this, because that's what a kite does. It kind of makes you feel like you're taking off.
Superhero stance.
Like you're flying. Yeah. And it's going to be, and it's going to have Pluto and Neptune and Mercury and Mars again. But the only thing that concerns me about it is I think it's Mars and Pluto are going to be pulling on each other in the kite. And Pluto is about death and rebirth, and Mars is about the god of war. And neither of them are easy to swallow. And so, but I feel that we'll be able to fly over it with our intellect and our vision and our ability to be intellectual in our conversations, to be able to say, no one wants war, you guys. Come on. Trumpers, you don't want to be in war with us. Right? Okay. So like I feel like the intellectual, because humans have evolved quite a bit, I'm hoping that we're able to just talk it out. So I'm hoping between the 18th and the 22nd, we'll start to see resolutions that help us feel less like we're headed towards a war.
Because the cliffhanger is, the final thought is, in the United States, Election Day is November 8th, and we have a full moon lunar eclipse on Election Day.
Wow.
So, whew, buckle up, baby.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to put it any other way.
Yeah.
And so this month, this week, this time right now is a really positive time for your personal projects moving forward. Get things done before November, before the window of things that the planets that start to go retrograde in September and October starts to pile up. So the lethargy that comes naturally with the winter will also come with the planets, right? That feeling of, yeah, I don't really have energy for that. Don't overpromise, don't overcommit. But right now, if you can get it done, there's good opportunities.
Get her done. So that's the big message: is if you have something to deliver to the world, now's the time to get it out there. Okay.
And how's
So,
our tarot?
I'm gonna just do a quick tarot reading. Do you have any questions, LeKross? Is there anything we should touch on?
No, I think it pretty.
We did
I think
okay,
I got it.
Rob.
Yeah, I think so.
And
All right.
happy birthday
I'm just
to
like,
all
I'm
the
like- yeah, I'm just prepping myself. I'm getting my seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Get it
Good.
Just-
Good.
ready for the bumps. I'm getting a little cushion on my
Get a
tuchus.
little donut.
Yeah, get that and get
I
ready
think
for
I'll
the
need a
ride.
helmet,
There you go.
Might help.
especially since my South Node. So
Oh.
that's my past lives and where I came from is in Taurus, where all this action is going to be happening with Mars, and then in the fall I have a Mars return.
Oh.
So I am buckled in, and I will probably definitely need a helmet. So, I'm going to pull 3 cards from this queer deck. It's called the Pride deck or Love is Love deck. And each one of these cards is done by a different artist. And I totally appreciate this deck and honor it in such a Libra way, because Libra loves collaboration. And so the first card is the 9 of Swords. Okay, so let me try to get it so that we can all see. Okay. The 9 of Swords is very much about illusions, things that you barely noticed before, and even things that were kind of secretive or hard to reach, hard to grasp. That's what this is all about. And it's in the past position. So this is a reminder about something. This is a reminder about what felt hard to grasp or understand, and how you worked at trying to understand something or see something. Okay. Especially around seeing and clarity and stuff like that. Okay. So whatever was foggy and not clear in the past, the spirit wants you to be thinking of that for a moment as we talk about the now, which is whatever has become clear to you, because this card is all about successful manifestations. In other words, you've done a good job. You've brought it forward. This is a gift you're giving to the world, especially the King of Pentacles, because Pentacles are gifts. And the King of Pentacles, well, he's the master of gift giving. And it also is meant to be like, see the beauty in the gifts that you give. And this is to remind us about the King of Pentacles in all of us, because we all have gifts to offer the world, every single one of us. In fact, it's in your chart. And the 10 of Cups. So remember, you went from the illusions and things that were harder to grasp that you didn't have clarity around, and then you're walking forward with your gifts to the world. And this is a relation to how you collaborate with others, and that this is pointing out the successful relationships you've had. You know, the people you go to Pride with, you know, the people that you're happy that you're doing something with, the people you like. not the ones you're thinking about walking away, okay? But this is about that your offering is good, and it is good to collaborate. You know, when we collaborate and come together and build relationships with others, we present something bigger to the world. Isn't that what pride is? Because it's one thing to be a gay person, and it's another thing to be a gay couple, and it's another thing entirely to be a community of queers. And our impact gets bigger each time, right? To be a queer person, you're a queer person, yes, and that's important, and we're glad you're here. And when you marry someone, legally, you show on the books that you are committed to this person, even though you might be queer. And when you go to Pride, you are part of a bigger movement. You are part of something huge, right? That's worldwide of GLBTQ people getting their rights, all of them. Okay? And that's what this is all about. So this is not just about queerness. That's just an example. It could be about other relationships that you have, business relationships or friendships or anything like that that's successful. Those successful relationships are supporting you. They are helping you, and it's part of a bigger movement. So remember, your gifts are important in the world. Keep giving them. And all of the gifts that you've offered in the world are perfectly part of what we're supposed to be doing. And don't forget those things that were a little illusionary led you to gifts. They led you to gifts, and they led you to good relationships. And in that, we can be grateful for even the illusions that we weren't aware of. So please take what you like, leave the rest. Namaste to you. I appreciate everyone. Thank you, LeKross, for coming on.
Thanks for having me as usual. Yeah, now we switch sides. We're playing musical screens.
Okay, yeah, you totally confused me. It's easy. But anyway, I'm so grateful to have you, LeKross, and you help us hone in the message, and I appreciate that. I think it's fun to do this with you.
Same. I get to learn a lot.
And I thought it was perfect to do the astrology this way because you get to learn, which is what you love to do, and I get to try to teach, and which is what I love to do.
Yeah.
And Bright Hawk also enjoys teaching, and we both love astrology. So, and thank you, Bright Hawk, for walking this path with me.
Always a pleasure.
I appreciate you in a lot of ways, and you're an amazing person.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And my closing thought will be, we'll rendezvous on Venus and dance on Saturn's rings. We'll drink a little moonlight and ride the old man's wings. It's true. Yes, love unites us. Behold the heavens light. Somewhere in the stars, I'll be dreaming you tonight.
Great song. Thank you.
Good job.
All right. And thank you to all of our viewers. Bobby, we see you. Dana, Eve, thank you all
You
for
guys are
tuning
great.
in tonight. We're glad that you dropped in tonight, Bobby.
Big love.
Thank you. And we are so glad, and we hope you tune in. If you want to catch our podcast, make sure you catch our podcast. Make sure you subscribe. It helps us out. That's all you have to do is click subscribe. Maybe share it. Could also help us. Do a little thumbs up. Man,
It
you
all
help
helps.
us. Please help us. So thank you and good night.
Thank you for watching Rainbow Soul. We are so grateful for your presence and listening in this past hour. Be sure you're subscribed and get notifications so you can join us and catch us every Sunday night here live. We appreciate you sharing, commenting, reacting, and inviting others to the show. This is a show for you. So tell us, who would you like to see on the next show? What topics inspire you? You can always find replays, more about the host, blog posts, merchandise, information about games and contests, and social media links at RainbowSoul.show. We love to show our gratitude with fun and games and contests with prizes that celebrate who we are as a community. Rainbow Soul holds the intention to explore consciousness and spirituality in cultures with a deep reverence for cultural roots, equality, and inclusion. We are always striving to recognize the spiritual medicine available to all of us in the modern world. We hope that you walk away knowing that you are perfectly valid in whatever identity you embrace for yourself and that you are sacred, just as you are. Thank you so much for tuning in to Rainbow Soul. In the land of Africa, there lives a hippo who learns to overcome being different through an ecstatic dance experience. Sometimes life is sweet, and sometimes life stings. It's up to you to decide. What are you willing to be? Asks the honeybee. The firefly reminds us that only you can shine your light. The butterfly speaks of the wonder of transformation, while the moon helps the hippo feel a confident glow. Find out what happens in a hippo dance trance. This beautifully illustrated book presents expressive artwork through gender-neutral characters that deliver messages about being yourself, perspective, and personal transformation. Order today at brighthawkproductions.com.